All right, Ole Miss is going to play for a national title, and we just witnessed the greatest pitching performance in Ole Miss baseball history. We will talk all about that real quick with Derek Vandygriff and Tom Vanderford right here on the Locked On Ole Miss channel.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Welcome to the Omaha Live postgame edition. Ole Miss going to the National Championship Series edition. Dylan DeLucia throwing the greatest game in Ole Miss baseball history. But first, I want to tell you, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can, of course, do that. You can upvote the video itself, and you can also hit the bell for notifications whenever we release a new video. I'm here with the guys tonight. Here to talk a little baseball. Derek Vandygriff, Tom Vanderford. Man, that series was absolute nails. It will go down as a classic thing. The 6 games that Ole Miss played against Arkansas this year, just frame that. Hanging in the Louvre. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely a great series all year with them. Glad we were able to get the better end of this one like we weren't able to earlier in Fayetteville, but, man, like you said, Dylan DeLucia, my goodness, he comes out in the biggest game in Ole Miss history, biggest game of his life, and all he does is go out there and throw a complete game shutout to send Ole Miss to the national championship. We're going to play for a ring now. We're 2 wins away. Just what an incredible job by him. The offense was able to do just enough. We've talked all year about the Tim Elko statue. Well, we might just go ahead and put one up of Dylan DeLucia too.
Yeah. What do you say, Tom?
Oh man, hotty dang toddy is all I can say. No, I'm thrilled. It's surreal. It's surreal. My friends that I've talked to and texted in between the game ending and this podcast starting, some that are there and some that watched it at home, we're all just stunned. I mean, be honest with you, I had a really good feeling when I saw they were going to go ahead and start DeLucia today. Mm-hmm. I just think he's one of the premier pitchers right now in college baseball. And I think he proved that today. We did just enough to get a couple of runs, and that's all we needed. And dadgummit, we're headed to the national championship.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
To hold Arkansas's offense, which is vaunted, they've out-hit everybody and just knocked the ball all around the park. But Ole Miss held them to 5, 3, and 0 runs in their 3 games in the College World Series. And I don't think that needs to be overlooked. Do you think, Derek?
No, it doesn't. We talk about it basically every time we're on here, about how good this pitching has been. But the reason we keep talking about it is because game in and game out, they are always that good every single time. Like this group doesn't take a break. Even going back to the game Wednesday with Gaddis and those guys, him and Doherty and Washburn, they were all just incredible. They came out and they gave us a chance, and that's all you can ask for as your starting pitchers, especially when you get to that 3rd game like we were in right there. But, the kind of performance Dylan DeLucia put up tonight, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, I'll be telling my grandkids about at some point, hopefully a long way down the road, but hopefully at some point I will be able to tell grandkids about it. That's just something that you don't really expect. Going into the day, kind of like I said last night after the show, if he can, give us, 6 good innings, maybe 7 good innings, and then we can use that fresh bullpen that hasn't pitched a whole lot during this run in Omaha, that we'd be in really good shape. And the whole time I was sitting there watching this pitch count, and I was like, all right, yeah, we're fine. We can get another inning. And then, after he got out of the 8th and he was, at 102 pitches, I think it was at that point, I kind of turned. I told my dad then, I said, I ain't pulling him out. I'm sending him back out to that mound. I'm letting him finish this thing. And if he doesn't, you got Mallets and Brandon Johnson down there. And just an incredible job by Dylan going out there, save the bullpen again like he has done time and time and time again. And that can't be overlooked considering what our pitching situation is going into Oklahoma, because right now you're talking about DeLucia not being able to start till at best Monday right now, right? But at the same time, you look back, Gaddis didn't throw all that many pitches. He was at 70-something, I think, when we pulled him. Washburn didn't throw a lot, and, you still got Johnson and Mallets and Doherty and Mason Nichols. I mean, we have all of these arms still available. We'll run Hunter Elliott out there Saturday to get things started, and hopefully he'll get us in the win column to start things, and then we can piece things together on Sunday. And if we're not able to get it done then you bring the legend back out and you let Dylan DeLucia go out there and you let him shove again.
Yeah, there's two things that we learned in this tournament so far. First of all, Ole Miss is going to win the Jello Shot Challenge now. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
They're going to win that. The second thing is Mike Bianco did something to Arkansas that not many people have done with Dave Van Horn. He figured out how to handle that offense. Between Hunter Elliott and John Gaddis and then Dylan DeLucia, you had three guys that did not throw straight pitches. Everything moved around, and the pitchers actually pitched to the batters. Because as Brandon Johnson, as good as he is, they can turn around a straight fastball. They've hit him deep twice. And Mike Bianco figured this out, and I'm telling you, as good as Dylan DeLucia was, and that is the greatest pitching performance in Ole Miss baseball history, even over Drew Pomerantz against Western Kentucky a couple years ago. Him figuring out how to deal with Arkansas's offensive lineup is probably the story of this College World Series.
I agree.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of the big mystery solved, right? It's hard to hit a moving pitch in baseball, and Dylan DeLucia does that about as good as anybody on this staff. He throws talked about with his different fastball grips and stuff like that. And his two-seamer about ate a poor fellow alive in the eighth inning today. On that strikeout, but by the time he swung at it, it was up to right about his shoulders. He was just incredible. His slider was good, and that's just kind of been the makeup of this team, though. They've been really good at being able to develop that slider with pitchers, and it's kind of become the calling card of the Mike Bianco era over these last 22 years.
Yeah, and as much has gone on in this College World Series, and we're going to make a big deal about Dylan DeLucia not being able to go Game 1 against Oklahoma. And we're going to talk about Oklahoma as we get later on the show, so stick around for that. But the fact that we have not used our bullpen almost at all is a testament to these starters, and especially John Gaddis, who everybody's like, hey, give us 9 outs, give us 3 innings. And he just got going and dealt a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
Derek.
Yeah.
Talk about the Ole Miss offense and what you see. Now, Dave Van Horn thought that using the slider and all that, he obviously weaponized that slider last night with lefties. That we talked about last night. They were essentially out of lefties. Talk about the Ole Miss lineup and their approach against that slider.
Oh, yeah, they actually had another really tough day with it again, which Connor Nolan, he's a really good pitcher in his own right. Like, let's not take anything away from him with what he was able to do today, too. He came out and he gave Arkansas exactly what they needed. 8 innings, a 2-run ball. 8 strikeouts, I think, and like 86 or 87 pitches. He was incredibly efficient. He threw the slider a ton. I mean, I would love to see the numbers on how many sliders he threw. I would venture to guess it was probably 60 to 65% of the time, which is a testament to how good it is, because you walk up to the plate knowing you're going to see it, knowing he's going to throw it, and you're still not able to hit it. It was a tough matchup. We talked about it last night. That was kind of the down part about last night, where you were so disappointed because you knew you were going to see such a good pitcher in Connor Nolan. He didn't disappoint, but to our guys' credit, when we were able to size some up, we were able to get some base hits and string a couple of them together, and we got just enough runs across the plate. That inning, the 7th inning, I think, when we scored that second run. When Elko led off, and then Graham, and then that big hit by Calvin Harris. It stinks. He got thrown out at second base trying to trying to stretch that into a double or advance on the throw. But
it would not be an Ole Miss College World Series without a base running error, though.
Yeah, or Jacob Gonzalez error, right?
Yeah.
We had another one of those tonight. But again, though, I mean, credit to these guys. They had to battle all night long against Connor Nolan. And he did an exceptional job, but we were able to do just enough to get enough hits, to get a couple runs across. And with a guy like Dylan DeLucia on the mound, that's really all you need.
Yeah, really good. Now, Tom, tell me how you took in the last 9 outs in this game.
Bated breath, a couple of heart attacks. I mean, you just did it. When you're a 56-year-old Ole Miss fan, you're like on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh my God, come on. But right there at the end, I was texting one of my friends, and she was like, I'm shaking, and that's, I guess, the best way I can tell it is I was just beside myself. I was shaking the whole time. I was like, oh my gosh, we can do this. And I guarantee you, there's hundreds of people out there that are listening right now that are in the same boat I'm in, that have just waited and it's wonderful that we're in the championship game and our championship series. And if there's a way I think we can pull this out, it will be wonderful, especially for this engineer that works with a lot of Mississippi State people. It will be wonderful.
Yeah, and okay, we'll switch gears here real quick since everybody's watching the show and everybody's in. When's everybody going to Omaha? When are you going, Derek?
I'm leaving about 4 o'clock in the morning. Go ahead and knock that drive out, drive straight through, get there tomorrow evening sometime. And, just can't wait to get this thing started. It's something I've dreamed about, me and my dad wanted to do for so long, and we've never really gotten an opportunity because, we always say, well, if we make the championship series, because it's such a long week, right? If you get up there at the very beginning of making the College World Series, a lot of people can't do that. But, we've said it year after year after year, even back in 2014 when we did make it to Omaha. I was like, all right, well, if we make championship series, we got to go. We're never going to pass up a chance to watch Ole Miss play in the national championship. And, that's one thing that means a heck of a lot to me. Like, I'm really excited that I get to make that trip with him and that I get to have that experience with him. Me and him, and my brother too. We've watched a lot of Ole Miss games over my 35 years on this earth so far, and all of them except this one have ended in disappointment. And it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to get up there and knowing that this one's not going to end the same way. This year's going to be different, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to be able to experience that with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. I want to tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NFL Stanley Cup Finals and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcast, and news this season. It's the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Ole Miss, according to BetOnline.net, is the betting favorite for the championship series. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but people are betting on them, and the odds are kind of in their favor at the moment. BetOnline, where the game starts. Anyway, thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including iTunes. So do us a favor, leave a 5-star review. You can say whatever you want to say. Just leave a 5-star review, and that will help us out greatly. Basically, what that will do, according to the iTunes algorithm, that'll help others find the show. So if you like the show, if you're interested in the show, please leave that review to it for us because it will actually help the show out. So thank you very much about that. So we got a lot of stuff going on in Omaha. We're going to shift gears towards Oklahoma. And we're going to talk a little bit about who's struggling right now and who has a funk that they need to get out of. And then after that, it's all Oklahoma Sooners. Now, before everybody knows, I do have my Day of Fun schedule, and I did not plan this. I will be at SeaWorld Saturday. So every series during this run, the first day, I've been in a theme park. And this will be no different. The Day of Fun will happen at SeaWorld, actually, on Saturdays. So I will be doing my part. So just understand that. Derek will be getting ready for Omaha, taking in the 100-degree weather in middle Nebraska, and Tom will be just sitting back enjoying a beer in front of the television, I think.
I'm going to be watching the television with my little granddaughter. I've got her this weekend, and we're going to will the Rebels to a victory.
There you go.
One thing, we need to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. And I think he's pressing a little bit, and I think that's the problem because they're on such a big stage. He's wanting to make plays, and because of that, it's just not coming off. Jacob Gonzalez, as they said, is in a little bit of a funk up in the chat. And everybody knows Gonzo will be okay, but he's got 3 games at this point. I think the championship series, a couple of days for him to just calm down and get ready for Oklahoma, knowing I think you're going to face 3 righties. 3 flamethrowers. They don't have trouble with velocity. I think this pitching staff that Oklahoma has matches up really well with Jacob Gonzalez. Derek?
Yeah, that's kind of the hope, right? You want to see him face righties and you want to see him face fastballs. It's kind of the same thing with Tim Elko too. But yeah, Gonzo's really scuffling right now, but he's the number 1 prospect next year's draft for a reason. He's not going to scuffle for long, but he's running out of games to get it done and to turn this thing around. But, at the same time, we wouldn't be in this position without Gonzo the way he's played all year, too. So, it's hard to get too down on him. Quite frankly, if he can clean up his defense, that would be good enough for me. That's the thing that'll kill you in these big games is giving up these extra outs. You want to get 27 outs, not 28 or 29. So if he can clean that up, that would be really nice. And Steven, you said he's got 3 games left. Hopefully he's got 2 games left. Hopefully we get this thing done in 2 games and Gonzo comes out and busts out of his slump, hits a couple home runs or just a couple base hits, something, drives in some runs. But it's a really good point you make about them having nothing but right-handers starting and the fact that they are fastball dependent the way they are. There's not a whole lot of slider, change-up, and all stuff like that.
Yeah, Texas
you guys
A&M
just made my day.
Yeah, Texas A&M
just made my day.
Texas A&M hit quite a few of them out of the yard, and Oklahoma was good, and they were able to limit it, but he throws it relatively straight, and I think the middle of that order, especially as well, we need to talk about it as well as Kemp Alderman is seeing the ball right now. There were some very unlucky things, and there's a game where he might have 2 or 3 home runs coming up in this championship series, even in Omaha, because he is barreling up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the ball he hit his first at bat today was just absolutely scorched. That looked like it was going to get through the hole, and the Arkansas second baseman made just one heck of a play, which is what he's done all year long. But you're right though. There for the first 6 innings or so, the only 2 hard hit balls we had against Arkansas in either of the 2 games were both by Kemp Alderman, which is something he's done this entire postseason. He's really seeing it well, and when he gets a barrel on the bat, man, that thing just jumps off of it. It's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. What do you say, Tom?
Oh, I'm just I didn't do a huge scouting report like you guys did or dug into Oklahoma, but when you say they're throwing righties and they love throwing the fastball, it got me excited because Gonzalez and Alderman and Elko, they like hitting those fastballs, so.
It's funny to me? Everybody talks about those 3 whenever they name. It's just it's nothing derogatory or anything like that, but those are the 3 names they say, but they never say Kevin Graham. And he is probably the best fastball best fastball pitcher on the team, or best fastball hitter on the team.
Yeah. I like Graham. I like Harris. We've got some really good hitters on that team. So I'm I'm pretty excited actually now.
Yeah, Calvin Harris
even
is
more
turning
so
into
than
a
I
dude.
was. Huh?
Calvin Harris is turning into a dude.
He is,
Yeah.
man. He is. He's something else. And we just, that's what always happens, when teams just get those little pieces when they make a run. State did the same thing last year. Different guys stepped up different games. They had I can't think of the guy's name now. I think Bednar. He was kind of like our DeLucia,
Yeah, it's eerily similar. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, and man, I'm just telling you, I just hope we have the same outcome that they had last year, because if there's a school that deserves a national championship in baseball, it's the Ole Miss Rebels.
Yeah,
especially one without an asterisk.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
And honestly, I want to remind everybody, we do not talk trash on this show.
No,
I do.
Yeah. Nobody's going to take it away. Although it is going to be a hard thing if Ole Miss wins the national championship after they just spent a year crowing about winning their first, because their whole thing was to look at Ole Miss and make Bianco jokes and all that, and just talk all kinds of noise. It would almost be perfect karma if Ole Miss was able to win the next one.
Like I said, it'd make my work life a lot easier.
Yeah,
it would make my work life a lot easier.
Yeah, I bet so. Yeah.
So before we get into the scouting report, we're going to rely on Derek a little bit. That'll be our segment 3 thing. We'll talk a lot about Oklahoma in segment 3. I want to take a second. We'll start with Tom. What does this mean? And specifically to you, not necessarily to the team or to the fan base, or whatever, however you want to put it. What does this mean?
A major national championship in a team sport for the Ole Miss Rebels would be one of the great moments in my Ole Miss fan lifetime. It's unreal. I mean, a national championship is just, it's the pinnacle. I always talk about Sugar Bowls and this and that and the other, but because I'm a big football fan, but for our baseball team to win the national championship, it would be a tremendous thing for me, and validation for our baseball program that I think's well deserved, even by people like me who would make jokes here and there and yawn about never finishing and completing. The crow tastes good, and I'd love to have to eat a whole bunch more of it, and us win these next 2 games. But winning a national championship it's winning a natty, man. It's why everybody plays. So for the Ole Miss Rebels to win a national championship would be awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Derek?
Just kind of echoing what Tom said. It's what you always hope for at the beginning of every year, and as an Ole Miss fan, that's really all we've ever had is hope. We've never had the results to back it up. So it's kind of like going into a season with unfounded hope, if you will, because we've never done it before. But we keep believing, and that's just what we really, really want. That's why we keep going to games. That's why we follow them game in and game out. And kind of like I've said earlier in the podcast, between me and my dad and my brother, we've watched, Lord, I couldn't tell you how many Ole Miss football, baseball, basketball games, both on TV and live, and to be this close to finally do it. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me that I get to hopefully experience that with my dad. And it also means a lot for Mike Bianco, because I've spent years and years and years defending him. And it always seemed like I was one of the minority doing it. But I didn't care, because I believed he was the right man for the job. And he proves year in and year out, he just keeps winning. And, they say, well, he can't get us to Omaha. Well, he's got us there. And not only does he have us there, he's got us 2 wins from a national championship. So y'all can all eat that right now because that man's going to be there until he wants to leave.
Yeah. I think that is the win today absolutely settled that. He's here for the duration, however he wants to be. And also remember, people that like to say, oh, it's 2 and 22 years. No, it's 2 and 8 years. It was 0 and 13. It's 2 and 8 years. Right. Now, the next 10 years could be 4 and 8. I do not know how that would look, but it's trending in that direction. He's done an absolutely fantastic job. He has not put a foot wrong in this tournament. He's handled everything just with great aplomb. I mean, congratulations to Mike Bianco. And also, if you're watching the show, watching the live stream, if you comment in the chat, it will show up over here in the chat module. We want you to have your say and have fun what's going on. We're going to be around for 20 or 30 more minutes anyway. But we want you to have a good time with that. Now, this series meant to me. Now, I want to fully admit something, and I have not ran away from this a bit, okay? Until 5 years ago or so, I was football only. I mean, that's the way I looked at everything. That's where I worked. I worked on the coaching staff at Ole Miss. I worked at Rivals.com. Football was literally my life. But this baseball team and the enjoyment of watching them has become a staple of mine in the spring, no matter how Ole Miss is doing. When Ole Miss was getting swept by Alabama, I was watching those games on ESPN+, maybe expecting bad things to happen at that point, but I was watching and in it. Now, everybody talks about growing the game. And Mike Bianco does a ton of credit for this. The SEC Network has a ton of credit they should get for this. Ole Miss deserves a ton of credit for this. But to take me that was essentially a football-only guy and basically interject baseball into my life to the point where I wanted to take advantage of it, I don't have the longevity of Derek. I don't have the longevity of Tom when it comes to Ole Miss baseball. But the investment level that I've had the last couple of years makes me think like, I'm kind of a part of this, even though, I graduated from Ole Miss, I coached at Ole Miss, did all of that stuff, but baseball was never really the thing. This thing and Mike Bianco over the last couple of years has raised my investment level to the point where we're doing Omaha live streams right now following baseball games. And Derek Vandygriff is coming on here. I wouldn't get a baseball expert to talk about it. So what it means to me is almost validation for my investment, because it takes a lot as you get older to invest in things. Football, baseball, and basketball I will invest in. And the theme parks and all of that stuff take up time. So that's the reason I always respect everybody's time. And Ole Miss baseball at this point feels like a justification for my time spent. That's all I'm saying. It feels like they have justified the time that I've spent watching baseball games against Southeast Missouri on the midweek on SEC Network Plus.
Yeah, those are always the fun ones.
Yeah.
You just had to bring that SEMO game up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, but it honestly, at this point, it doesn't matter. That's the crazy thing. Getting swept by Alabama doesn't matter. Getting swept by Tennessee doesn't matter. Almost getting run ruled by SEMO doesn't matter. Because they are 2 of 3 away from being the number 1 team in college baseball and the first major national championship winner. I think that's been decided by a playoff. The other ones, the football ones, are poll-based. So they would actually have to play and earn this. So it's a big deal to me. Yeah.
It is. It is. We're 2 wins away from a national championship, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And Derek's going to go up there. He's going to make his ribs. He's going to watch it. We're gonna win 2 in a row. And then I'm going to send him some rib money.
He's going to be on that live.
And that's right, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to get up there and get it started.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely cool. Anyway, we're going to take a short break real quick, and I want to tell you this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Rock Auto is here with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models. It's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you will need. Why often endure The pointless and seemingly intimidating questioning is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So save time and money when you use them. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. Go explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. So this is what I want you to do right here. Go to rockauto.com and see all the parts available for your cars and truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box to let them know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also hit the bell for notifications for new videos, which is actually quite frequently. Got a video up right now about the Navy uniforms potentially going away from the football program. You want to check that out. It's about 10 minutes long. But listen to that. And it's just going to be great. So anyway, hit the bell for notifications and, of course, upvote the video itself. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to shift gears now and talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. Now that we have Derek, I'm not going to be able to get him for Saturday because this is going to have to serve as our preview. So we're going to have to shoot from the hip a little bit. Derek, tell us about the Oklahoma Sooners.
Oh, yeah, Oklahoma's had quite a run themselves. If Ole Miss is the hottest team in the country, then Oklahoma's 1B, right? They ran through the Big 12 tournament and ended up winning it. Probably got shafted out of being a host team this postseason. They were certainly deserving of one. But they go on the road to a regional, a lot like Ole Miss did. It was a lot of the same road. They go on the road for a regional and they win. They go on the road for a super regional and they win. They get to Omaha and they just absolutely run through their bracket. They're a really good team. They've kind of taken that Ole Miss mold this year too, as far as finding some starting pitching. It's not something that was a strong point for them earlier in the year, and some guys have just kind of popped up and developed and really taken the reins for them and have been really impressive. And they've got a shortstop that can really play. I haven't got to watch a lot of Oklahoma baseball this year, obviously, but I have watched a couple games, and man, that shortstop is a lot of fun. If y'all hadn't seen him play yet, y'all definitely want to tune in and keep your eye on him. He's an incredible player.
I think he is the number one prospect in 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it sounds about right. He's really good. He can really swing it. He can field it. I mean, he looks so smooth out there. He's really fun to watch.
The other scary player that Ole Miss will have to deal with from a pitching standpoint is their catcher. I forget his name. So remember, this is all short. Mm-hmm. I have not done much show prep on this, but their catcher is kind of a dude, and he's hit a couple of home runs. He almost honestly reminds me of Turner a little bit from Arkansas. He's a left-handed hitting catcher, and it's just a really good hitter. So that's somebody we also have to look out for.
Yeah, and when you get to the national championship series, you're going to have guys like that up and down the lineup. Really, it's not going to be easy. They've got guys over there too that play and play very, very well and have played very well for a really long time now. They didn't go all the way through the postseason undefeated like we did up until this past Wednesday. But like I said, if we're the hottest team, then they were the second hottest this entire postseason, and they've really thrown it well. That's just kind of been their calling card this postseason. That's been our calling card. So if you get on BetOnline and you start seeing some numbers out there, just start hammering some unders. Easy. Okay.
Hunter Seidler in the chat just posed a question. Assuming Elliott starts game 1, can the Rebels bullpen get them a game 2 win?
Yeah, that's kind of the path for us now, isn't it? Since DeLucia's not going to be available, and we kind of touched on a little bit earlier. We're really fresh out there. It is kind of dependent on Hunter Elliott giving us a good start, and from everything he's done for us this postseason, I expect nothing less than a really good start from Hunter Elliott. Give us 6-7 innings, then we can hand it off to, at this point, take your pick. You still haven't thrown mallets and nickels since, last Saturday, and Johnson pitched for the first time in 2 weeks this past Monday, and he only threw an inning. But yeah, then you get to that Sunday game, and that's when you look at maybe bringing Gaddis back or starting Washburn, that didn't throw all that many pitches but was really, really good for us. And, you still got Derek Diamond out there. He's a guy that's got a lot of experience. He's a guy we can use if he's used properly. And, Mike's hit all the right buttons this postseason. So at this point, I do expect him to be used that way. I don't think Mike would expect him to go out and get him 6 or 7 innings because he's just not that guy. But he does have the stuff to come in and get through the order one time and, get you 3, maybe 4 innings and kind of prolong your bullpen a little bit, save it here and there, especially as fresh as ours is. So that's the path we got to take. We have a ton of arms, though, down there that we can use. So we absolutely can win a Sunday bullpen game to answer that question.
Yeah, and also people need to remember whenever they want to, it's like, don't start Diamond. Or you'll see that a lot in the fan base. He is the best athlete on this team. And why is that important? Well, the coach at Oklahoma is an Augie Garrido disciple, and that means small ball. They do not hit home runs. This is not a 3-run homer team. They will put the ball on the ground. So you need a pitcher that can field his position. And Derek Diamond could absolutely be that guy that starts a game too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. He's definitely an option when Sunday rolls around. You just kind of got to see how the bullpen ends up working out after that first game with Elliott. But like I said, we got a lot of fresh arms down there. We got a lot of options, and Derek is certainly one of those options. If Mike wants to go to him, I don't know if there's a big difference in righty-lefty splits with Oklahoma. If there's a big discrepancy one way or another, then you would like to play the matchups. So if that's the case, you could look at Gaddis, and we still got Jackson Kimbrell down there too as another lefty if we did need one. He's not one you want to go to try to give you length or anything, but if you get a tough lefty up there like that catcher you're talking about, and he needs to come in and get one guy, that's still a bull they got too, that they can use.
Yeah, if it's one on and one out and you need a double play and there's a lefty up there, if Ole Miss is winning the game, for whatever reason, Jackson Kimbrell is actually fairly good when Ole Miss is winning and hitters are pressing. Mm-hmm. But if the hitters can relax and they're winning the game, they can kind of tee off on him a little bit. So that's probably the reason you're not seeing Gaddis, or not Gaddis,
Kimbrell.
What's his name? Kimbrell. Yeah, forgot his name there for a second. We currently have a nice following on our live stream at the moment. If you guys have any questions, throw them up in the chat. We'll do our best to get to them in the next 15 or 20 minutes while we're on the air. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tom, all right.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's there. You're going to watch the game with your grandchild. You're going to do all that. What is your plan for Game 1 of the National Championship Series? Go ahead.
I'll just hang out with my she's almost 9-year-old granddaughter, and put the big 75-inch on and just sit here and snuggle and watch the Rebels win. I'm telling you, Elliott's going to bring us to a victory. We're going to be 1-0.
Yeah. The confidence level that you see from the Ole Miss team whenever Elliott and DeLucia is out on the field is reminiscent of last year when Doug was on the mound. It's just for whatever reason this year, it's 2 pitchers instead of 1. And because of that, their fielding's a little bit sharper. Everything's a little bit sharper. They hit the ball better. They relax at the plate. And today the tightness kind of creeped in a little bit because – Connor Nolan is the ace, all of that pressing, but they were able to get to him eventually, kind of like Tanner Hall in the Game 2 at Southern Miss. To me, that game played out a lot like that. I just think Connor Nolan is just a little bit better pitcher than Tanner Hall. Derek.
Yeah, it was it was real similar, kind of like you said. it was just one of those grinded out games, and we were able to grind out just enough to get the job done. Just it. We can't say enough about Dylan DeLucia and that performance. You said it was the greatest pitch performance in Ole Miss history, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. But that still almost doesn't justify it. Like, it being the greatest of all time still isn't good enough to describe how good he was today. It's one of those things that'll go down as a story Ole Miss baseball fans tell for years and years and years. With this JUCO transfer who started out in the bullpen, ends up working his way into the starting rotation and gets the ball on 4 days rest or whatever it was, with a chance to send Ole Miss to the national championship. And all he does is go out there and throw 9 innings of shutout ball, and he was incredible. But yeah, it was real similar to that game against Tanner Hall, though, because Connor Nolan was almost as good as Dylan. He just had a couple more mistakes than Dylan did, and that ended up being the difference in the game.
The difference in the game to me was when Arkansas barreled up the ball, they hit it right at our guys. Whenever Kevin Graham barreled it up down the line, or Calvin Harris barreled it up, it caused movement. It wasn't directly at somebody, and that was interesting. Now, how are you going to take in the first College World Series Championship Series game?
Talking to me?
Yes, you.
Okay, well, if I had to guess, I will be getting into downtown Omaha somewhere around, I think the game starts at 6. So we'll get down there sometime that afternoon, I had to guess. Probably find us a place to grab a bite to eat, a few drinks, see if I can talk my dad into a few Jello shots for the Reds, try to do our part. And then, wander over to that stadium early and walk around, just kind of take it all in, 'cause it's such a historical thing, getting to Omaha for the College World Series, so, you want to see the statues and all that stuff, or at least I do. So I'll walk around it for a while and see all of those things, and then we'll get to our seats, and, we're going to sit there, and we're not going to sit there. I'm sure I'll be standing up the majority of the game, but we'll sure enough be cheering on the Rebs the entire time, all the way to a victory. My confidence level still hasn't dropped any. I've been told I've maybe a little overconfident here this postseason, but that's worked out so far. So I'm not going to lose.
So far, so good.
Go with
it, brother. Go with it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the confidence. I fully expect the Rebels to take game 1 and then get to that bullpen game, and as long as we're able to save some arms for that Sunday game, I'm confident that we can go in there and at least hit enough to, maybe win a slugfest or something, and just get this thing over with. And for all we know, today may have been the last time we see Dylan DeLucia in an Ole Miss uniform.
Yeah, and he deserves it, because
yes.
he turned into one of the best pitchers in college baseball in the middle of the season. I mean, it's crazy. He's almost unhittable now. And him and Hunter Elliott just became a heck of a tag team. My Saturday will be a day of fun. We are going to wake up early in the morning and go to SeaWorld. We're going to see Shamu and sea lions and walruses and ride roller coasters and water rides and all that. We're going to have a ton of fun. Then I'm going to come back, probably get back about 3 or 4, eat some supper. The game comes on at 7. Get ready for that. Watch that. Just take every pitch in, because that's the way I do it. I don't watch games with dread. There's people that watch it with a negative connotation whenever they watch a sporting event. I'm not that type of person. I'm a little bit different. So I will take in everything that is happening on there. Look in. About the 7th inning, I'll come get Omaha Live set up, shoot the email out to Derek and Tom and Cara, and start getting ready for then. I mean, Oklahoma, they're probably the best matchup Ole Miss can probably have. The hardest game that Ole Miss was going to play was Arkansas. I honestly believe that, because Dave Van Horn has absolutely known how to deal with Mike Bianco over the last few years, and we all remember that Game 3 up in Fayetteville, how that looked. So, this thing could have turned on his head, but Mike Bianco figured out how to handle everything that was going on. And I think at this point with the small ball, it's going to be Elliott, then it's going to be Diamond, and then it's going to be DeLucia. Against the flamethrowers that Oklahoma have, they're going to see a bunch of sliders, but mostly fastballs, and we'll see what happens. The one thing is true, Tim Elko has to quit channeling Pedro Serrano. And if he needs to quit doing that, Jacob Gonzalez needs to wake up, and if that happens, this thing's over.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Those are the two guys we really need to get going right now because bench is playing real well in front of those two. Graham and Aldrin are playing really well behind those two. So if you can get those two between those three guys getting on base and hitting well, then this offense can finally take off. And with them throwing all these righties too, you're going to see McCants out in center. So this will be a really good time for him to figure some things out too. He's really struggled at the plate. I love his glove in there in center field, as big as that park is. I think that is our most optimal defensive lineup, is when he's in there chasing those balls down in center. But his bat has become such a liability right now. It would be really, really good to see him finally get it going in this championship series.
It was nice to see Hayden Dunhurst get a hit today. He needed that, because you could actually look at him at the plate and tell that he had lost confidence. And then after that, he started making contact like he normally does. So maybe he can turn it around as well. Well, guys, Derek, drive safe going up to Omaha. Tom, enjoy your grandkid. I will see everybody Saturday night for Omaha Live. And like I said, Ole Miss is playing for the national championship in baseball. I can say that.
That's right.
5-6 times. Ole Miss is playing in the national championship series.
It doesn't get old, man. It doesn't get old.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You can keep saying it. I'll keep listening.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we get out of here, do you think Ole Miss stays blue, or will they change it up for the championship series?
No, they're going to stay Navy. Yeah, at this point,
I think they stay blue.
Yeah.
I thought today was the day they would have changed it. I kind of expected Powders after they lost last night, but then after they came back out in Navies, I was like, oh, yeah, if they win this one in the Navies, then it's just going to be Navy the rest of the way.
Yeah. Everybody knows if Ole Miss finishes this out and wins 2 more games, those Navies are going to be selling at twice the rate of those Powders.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
definitely.
Anyway, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Tune in after the game Saturday night. We'll do another post-game live, another Omaha Live, with Derek on location, maybe Cara on location. It could be quite a fun setup. We're going to try and have fun with it. But thank you very much, and thanks, Derek. Thanks, Tom. And to everybody, we'll see you Saturday.
Yep.
Hotty toddy, everybody.
Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.